Today, let's take a quick updated look at what's going on with the Utah congressional map. There's been a lot going on here, and a few months ago, I already reviewed the proposed map, but now this is a different map, and the bottom line here is Dems are gaining a seat here in this red state. So I don't want to spend too much time on this or the process again. I'm just going to hit the highlights. So it looks like, at least for this upcoming election, the Utah Supreme Court is going to keep in place this new map that gives the Dems a new seat around Salt Lake City. So this is a big deal because there's been a redistricting battle happening. I don't like it. I don't like how it's escalated. I want one standard across the country. I don't want to see either side taking an overt unfair advantage. Now, there's 4 congressional seats in this state for now. And even though the map is in place for this year, there's still a lot going on here behind the scenes. Again, there's kind of a complicated backstory here. You can read about it here, or I'd recommend Ballotpedia if you'd like. So how did we get here? Well, in 2018, there was Prop 4. This would create an independent commission for redrawing the congressional map, and that was supposed to eliminate partisan gerrymandering. Well, that passed, but it was very narrow, just over 50%, and that was a blue wave year back in 18. So if it wasn't for this narrow passage, we could be looking at an entirely different situation this year. But here's the other side of it. There's an effort underway to repeal that Prop 4. The signatures are being gathered, and that could put it on the ballot and return it to the legislature. There might be some controversy here with some of these signatures, but the process is clearly well underway, as you can see. Now, given what we've seen over the past year, I think pretty much anything is possible. Generally, voters want to see independent commissions over the legislatures drawing the maps. But then we just saw in California, they temporarily suspended their independent commission and it went back to the legislature. We know the motivations there, and it was a blue state and it worked out for the Dems. This is the opposite. This is a red state. Who knows what could happen here? It could also be repealed. I didn't think the margin in California would be that wide at all, but I was wrong. So there could be a whole lot happening in this state. And then there's also this story. It looks like Republicans here are looking to expand the Supreme Court from 5 to 7 justices. Anytime there's court expansion, that's bound to be controversial. So you're going to hear all the usual arguments from both sides. But I do understand the optics of it are not going to look that great. But this happened before this latest court ruling. But if we get back to the new map, and again, there's only 4 seats, the only question really is, should the Dems have 1 seat out of these 4? Well, let's go through this one more time. Let's start at the very top. For president in 24, Trump easily won the state by over 20 points. He's at more than 59%. Now that's pretty good, but it's obviously not up to the Mitt Romney level. Now in that same election, what happened in the U.S. Senate? Well, it was an open seat, but Republican John Curtis won by a wider margin than Trump. This was more than a 30-point spread for Curtis. So Trump, not the perfect fit for Republican voters in this state. Of course, he still won it easily. But you can see how Curtis, a more mainstream or establishment type of Republican, can outperform Trump. There was also an independent here that pulled in more than 5.5%. So let's switch over to the U.S. House. Now again, on these 4 seats, Republicans got over 62%, Dems at about 32.5%. So not too far from that Senate race. So this is not anything like a 55-45 state. Republicans are obviously going to want to have all 4 of these seats given how red it is. But most of the vote, not all of it, is concentrated around Salt Lake City. It's kind of a blue island surrounded by a lot of red. So to make it simple, let's get on Dave's redistricting and take a look at this new map. So there's not a whole lot here. It's kind of cut and dry. The first district is going to be the new blue one. And you can see over here on the right, we've got the composite between the 2 parties. And the Dems are now at 56% here. So it's not even a competitive district. It's going to go blue. Now the other districts are overwhelmingly super red. 65% Republican in the second. In the third, it's 70%. In the fourth, it's 67.5%. So Dems are going to have no chance in the 3, but Republicans are going to have no chance in the first. Now if we break it down at a detailed precinct level, you can see that most of the state is red with a few exceptions outside of the Salt Lake and Utah County areas. So let's pull in here just a little bit on some of that deep blue area. So a lot of population in this part of the state. And if we toggle back to the districts, you can see a lot of it is kind of just packed into a single district. This is the easiest way that Dems are going to gain a seat here. Before this, Republicans carved up that blue vote into all 4 districts. So the map technically was not fair before. But in blue states, Dems do the exact same things, but they tip it slightly in the other direction. You could use Portland as an example. So when there's a lot of blue votes surrounded by red, depending on the size of the city, you could pack it all into 1, maybe 2 districts, or you could carve it up and divide it out into the other red areas. That means that either party could pretty much get all the seats if they want them, depending on how they want to tweak it. In most states, all you really need to have is a 10 or 15 point partisan advantage, and you could pretty much do whatever you want. So it was not a fair map before, but it was far away from some of the worst ones we've seen, where there's a lot of seats being taken by one side or the other. So my guess is this would become one of the fairest maps in the country. So what is actually going to happen in that district? Well, that's the one held by Blake Moore, the first. My guess is he's probably going to retire because there's not really much of a chance he's going to win that. And then you've got the Democrats. They've got a lot of declared candidates here. They're going to battle it out. So that should be interesting stuff. But if you had any doubts about if this new district was going to be competitive or not, take a look at what these 4 sites now rate this district. All of them. Solid D and a flip and a pickup. So Dems are definitely coming out with 1 seat here. Both parties are really trying to pull out all the stops and gain an advantage. You've seen Dems trying to suspend their independent commissions. You've seen constitutional amendments, crazy court cases, and mid-decade redistricting. It's gotten real messy. I think most voters, are against the partisan gerrymandering, but if one state happens to do it, that might motivate them to do it as well. So it's really ugly. Again, I hope something happens nationwide. I'd guess eventually something's got to happen, but it's hard to believe most people are going to be satisfied. Usually one party wants to squeeze something in there that's going to give them some kind of an advantage. But anyway, that's what we've got going on here in Utah. So let me know in the comments. What do you think about this new map? Is it cut and dry? Dems are gaining a seat and it's a fair map. What about repealing Prop 4? How's that going to go? And is ending partisan gerrymandering the #1 thing you want to solve when it comes to redrawing the maps? Let me know what you think down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.